If you've ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes in a real estate transaction, you're in the right place. Whether it's the nail-biting negotiations, the crazy twists and turns throughout a transaction, or the moments that just make you want to pull your hair out, it's all going to be shared. I'm Brittany Fry, and I am the host of the Closing Chapters podcast. Here, we are going to talk about my career transaction by transaction since 2016. And we're also going to go through all of the golden nuggets that I've learned along the way that I would love to share with you. I want to shape your reality in real estate to a world that you can be confident, educated, and make really wonderful decisions for your financial future and build a real estate portfolio. No matter if you are a real estate investor, a first-time home buyer, or a luxury buyer, there's something to be had in this podcast. You're going to see it throughout the series that military is really my heart. That is my niche, and if you are a military buyer or seller, you will thrive listening to this podcast. So, grab a seat at the closing table and let's close some chapters. All right, y'all, here's the reality. Getting a real estate license is honestly relatively easy. You take a class. Depending on each state, the classes can vary of whether it takes a couple weeks or a couple months. However many hours, you take it either online or in person, depending on what's available to you. You usually take a national and a state test, and once you pass those tests and you've got your applications in, you're pretty much good. We're not talking years of schooling and passing huge board tests. The barrier to entry is relatively simple for real estate. What's hard is how do you run your business, okay? When we get our driver's license, typically, we have to get our learner's permit and pass the tests. Then you have to have so many hours of behind the wheel where you're practicing before you can take driving school. And then you take driving school in high school and you're behind the wheel with an instructor there. You have to pass the tests. You get practice, you get guidance. Somebody's kind of holding your hand or evaluating you and making adjustments for you and telling you what you need to get better at or what to pay attention to sit in a car and figure out where all the levers are because each car will be laid out a little bit differently. You have that guidance. When you start in real estate, depending on your brokerage, the way that they're set up, how they onboard their agents, you are either said, great, you're free. Go run your business. Have fun finding clients. If you need me, I'm here. And that's the extent of it. Or here's an online university with lots of different portals of classes through our brokerage. Have at it. It's so helpful. Go. Or some of them, you need to do a 90-day onboarding process with us where you're going to come in every day and do X amount of training. When we go through those things, my question to you is how much of that training is based on knowing the contracts, the steps of taking care of a client, like what the process is to get from A to Z, and really CYA for the brokerage, right? Because at the end of the day, they've got a duty to supervise you and make sure that you are doing everything within your wheelhouse. They don't necessarily have a duty to teach you how to get referrals, how to get your initial clients, how to keep those clients for the future. They also don't teach you the saying that if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. Nobody's really teaching you that. No one's really teaching you like, hey, you can cast a wide net for a little bit, but you need to figure out your sweet spot and niche down really fast. Because the quicker you can do that, then the more successful you have the opportunity to be. You can really hone in on your client base and make your systems and put them in place. And it's like the wash, rinse, repeat cycle, which we've talked about that before. So I have decided that I don't want to be another established agent just letting the new agents wallow in the wind, especially in the military niche. I think it's really important that we come along and hold each other's hands and help them along the way. I absolutely love mentorship and I love being an open book and guiding people. So I'm ready to take this to the next level and say, here I am. This is what I did. This is how I did it. This is how you can set it up very simply. And if you know me or how I speak with my kids, I love to make everything into a little ditty. Our whole thing is in the morning where they're getting ready, you pick a song, and start making up words to it that fit whatever you're doing. So it could be ABCs or something like that. I have created this 3-step framework that is, simply put, it's ABC. And that stands for always be closing. This is within the military niche specifically that I've structured this, but I'm going to show you how I find my referral partners that are other agents in other military towns that are serving other military clients in the military niche, and how we're going to evaluate those relationships, find people that are like-minded, that work the way we do, communicate the way we do, and then how we introduce ourselves to them. It's almost like dating all over again. Awkward, where you have to pick up the phone and be like, oh, hey, agent out in Colorado, you don't know me, but I've been like sneaking around on you, and I'd really like to get to know you. Could we do that sometime? But the reality is that nobody's going to understand our profession better than other professionals in our profession. So what a beautiful way to pick up a phone and say, hey, agent in Colorado, I'm really wanting to make sure that I have my bases covered out your way. I have a lot of people at Shaw Air Force Base, and some of them tend to come in and out of Colorado very frequently, and I want to make sure that I've got fantastic connections in place for them. So if I ever have that opportunity, you are on speed dial. That sounds pretty cool. You're being proactive. You're trying to send business to them. Why wouldn't they want to meet you? Why wouldn't they want to get to know you? So the difference here too, though, is that we're not saying, hey, I want to meet you so that you'll send me referrals. We are always we are opening the door. We are giving the opportunity. I want to make sure that if I have the opportunity to send you a referral, that I've got the connection in place. And hopefully they'll reciprocate. 9 times out of 10, they will. Anyhow, this is the whole foundation of really niching down. And I'm sure you can utilize this in just about any niche, but we're specifically going to talk about the military niche in my world. This is what I do every single day and live it. I'm a military spouse. We are still active duty. And so this is my wheelhouse. So I really want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what it can look like and how you can be successful and niche down. There's one really big scary thing about niching down, and that is consistency. There's a huge fear that when you try to get into a small area that you're not going to have enough consistent business. And that can be further from the truth if you have a foundation set up that's going to serve you well, okay? It's also really well known that in the military world, we're cyclical. So there's certain times of the year that you're going to have bulk masses of people that are moving. Great. But what about all the other times? Friends, there's people moving in the military just about all the time. I don't think that there's a month that goes by that somebody is not making a transition. Sometimes it can be on very different cycles, and it can depend on whether they're coming from overseas or stateside, when they're getting out of classes, AIT, right? Warrant officer graduations. We have a buddy that my husband worked with back at Fort Campbell that literally this week is graduating from his warrant officer school and going. This is not the typical time of the year that you would move. But it's exactly the same schedule we started out with when we started with the Army. We moved to Fort Campbell the week of Thanksgiving in 2020. So anyhow, all that to say, we were buying a house over the holidays. We needed help and flexibility right now. We were in a hotel for 2.5 months waiting to get into a house. So you can't think, oh, if I get into the military niche, I'm only going to have clients March through August, and then what? And here's the other thing, okay? Realtors are really good, and I'm being extremely hypocritical right now, about burning themselves out and not giving ourselves the ebb and flow that we desire and need and time off with our family. So here's what I'm going to tell you. In 2019, the first 6 months of the year, I did my whole year's worth of business the prior year. So what if you only had clients March through September, August, September? What if that was the case? Could you do enough business? Could you jam it out that you can really relax and spend the holidays with your family? Have some downtime, pick some traveling dates when it's the off season, and it won't be as expensive and it won't be as crazy, and you can still go to absolutely beautiful places. Is that our worst case scenario? Is, heaven forbid, I only have a mass of clients 7 months out of the year, and then the other 5 months I've got to figure out what to do with myself? Maybe I have a couple of deals here and there. That's legitimately the worst case scenario in that scenario. But the reality is, if we have really good referral networks in place, that military is moving year round, 100%. And there actually is a fall cycle that's pretty predominant as well. that people are coming in typically through October to the end of the year. So there's still a lot of movement right now. And we need to make sure that we hone in on that and are available for our referral partners any time of the year. But my whole point in saying all that was that sometimes it's not always a bad thing if we have an ebb and flow in real estate. A lot of us are very high drive people and we want to go and we need something to make us chill out for half a second. So sometimes it is divine intervention that says, hey, you don't have a deal this month. Sit back and relax for half a second. Go do an extra workout a week. Go on a family vacation. And typically, if you try to do that, business is going to fall in your lap. But the other big thing is that you've got to know where to start. When you walk in the doors and nobody's telling you what to do or how to do it in terms of creating other relationships, and everybody just keeps saying that magic word, SOI, sphere of influence. What do we think sphere of influence is? So many times everybody's like, who are your friends and family? Who are the kids' parents that you have around you? Who do you know at church? Who are your doctors? Who's your dentist? Who do you go to for a massage? Your sphere of influence, everybody around you that you touch. That's great. But in a military town, how much does that change? How much influx do we have? In a military town, the one thing you can count on is inconsistency. People come and go. And that's the reality. So who can we count on in a military world? Who should be our steady? I have found for me that other real estate professionals are my steady. They are my constant. When I was in Tennessee, the majority, over 75% of my deals came from other referral agents that I have, which is amazing. I was so blessed. But the reason why they came to me is because they already knew me. We already had a relationship and they could say, oh my gosh, I know Brittany's in Tennessee now. Let me call her and see if she can help with this first. And I've said this numerous times, but I can't tell you, for as many calls as I've had for me, for my market, I've had double, triple the amount of calls out of my market. But they still call me because they remembered me for Tennessee. And that's amazing and it's super important because I can make a really good connection and it still looks good on me. I'm still helping, nourishing that relationship and making sure that somebody gets taken care of, okay? This isn't a greedy business. If it is, then you shouldn't be here. We're here to help people. We are a people business. So any opportunity to help someone is good in my book. And I love that. And I will tell you, once again, the transition to North Carolina was very different for me because as soon as I put out to the world, to my agent, referral partners, hey, I'm here, immediately, oh my gosh, Brittany, this is perfect timing. I've got somebody coming your way. Can you talk to them? What a beautiful blessing. What a beautiful blessing. So if you have those foundations set, it might take a little bit of time, but it will all come full circle. And I'm here to show you how to set those foundations. Now, when you're starting out, may you have to cast a wide net for a little while? Sure, we all have to eat. We all have to make sure that we have milk in the fridge. But while we're doing that, we really need to start honing in and creating a foundation that we can shift and rely on. So we want to make sure that we are moving forward to a place where we are not casting a wide net, that we're getting more and more specific, and we're choosing who we're working with, and we're prioritizing our schedule and how we are managing each piece to our business. If you want to know more about that, I've separated that world from my general real estate, and I am talking about it and starting to teach about it more on Elevate Freedom Training as the platform. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube through Elevate Freedom Training. And the whole purpose is that we want other agents that want to be in the military niche to know exactly how to succeed and also how to level up, right? So the first part is we just got to get you successful. We've got to get people having business consistently, because once we have that, once we get past that dreaded 3-year mark where most realtors fall off, right? Then we can really start to get specific. And you should be doing a great job for your clients anyways along the way from the word go. But there's going to be more that we can always do and add and change and shift our style or how we're taking care of our clients. So I really want to make sure that new agents or agents trying to come down into the military niche have an opportunity to have a platform just to share and to be supported and really know how to set up a solid foundation, because we need consistency. Most agents in the military world are so used to inconsistency. We need something to grab onto, to hold on to, that's going to be our steady. Everybody needs that. But I'm just telling you from experience, our boat gets rocked a lot. And if you're in the military world, you know what I'm saying. As soon as you make a good friend, they're out the door. As soon as you get situated and you're making money, you're out the door. It's pack up. Let's go. Let's start all over. And that's okay if you have the right foundation in place. You won't skip a beat. I promise. I'm living proof of that. This transition was amazing. I actually had lowered my goals for the year in anticipation of us transitioning. And I've already met them, which is amazing. I really thought I was going to have to start all over again. And just because I followed the system that I have in my head that I do, it worked and I'm fine. And that's great. So I want to make sure that I get to pass it along to everybody else. If I can do it, so can you, right? I am a mom with two underage, school age kiddos at home with me majority of the time. And I feel like I am not the most organized, succinct person. I really do thrive off of the ebb and flow. Like I hit it hard for a while and then I back off for a little bit. And that kind of works well and serves me well, because I will get myself burnt out pretty quickly if I just go. And I've acknowledged the fact that I'm really good at being 100% at a thing. I love to work and I want to be all in and just work, but I'm not in that phase of life right now. I've got two beautiful babies that need a mom, right? And I want to be that for them. Because I've got these systems in place, because I'm prioritizing my agent relationships, my business is staying afloat. And I've made this transition successfully. So I want to make sure that, one, if you are in the military real estate world and you're afraid of transitioning, you can do it, right? If you work in military towns and you love working with military clients and you would like to focus on that, but you're not quite sure how to package that up and make sure that you can just stay in your lane of military, then come on board, let's talk about it. Or if you're a new agent and you really think that you want to be in the military realm, that's where you're near, or that's what your experience is, or you grew up in a military household, then this is a great way to get started. Absolutely fantastic way to realize that you can prioritize certain relationships and really spend minimal amount of time, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, to set up really key relationships. If you've done this in the past and you realize what I'm saying, I'm talking to new agents for half a second. A lot of times when we get into real estate, we are told to farm neighborhoods, right? Send out flyers, walk neighborhoods, cold call, check on expireds. And there's methods to all of that. That could work. But it's a lot of time and effort. A lot of time. But I want you to think for a second. And this is how I've explained it lately, and it seems to have worked effectively. So we're going to try this right now. All right. If you were moving and you had a house to sell, who is in control in terms of helping make connections? I would think the listing agent would be. If you have a good relationship with your listing agent, and your listing agent is putting your house up on the market to sell, they're going to ask questions like, hey, where are you going? What is your plan? Are you going to rent, or are you going to buy? Are you going to live on base? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And then they're going to tell you. And then you're going to say, oh, great. Do you already have a connection there? Because if not, I've got a fantastic person. I would love to connect you because I want to make sure that you're taken care of. So in my purview, my perspective, that listing agent, wherever they may be, anywhere in the United States, they have the leverage. They have the information, they have the trust, and they have the ability to make the connection. So wouldn't it bode you well to know that listing agent? And I'm not saying that you need to know every listing agent in the whole wide world, right? We need to pair up with people that are like us, that work like us, because then we're going to be great partners. It's going to be like a really smooth pass off, and that client isn't going to miss a beat. They're going to feel like they're working with essentially the same person, because our styles can be very similar, our communications can be very similar, and it's just going to feel good. It'll be easy, right? So we're going to talk a lot about like when you are making these connections, you got to figure out real fast whether it's not real fast. You want to determine whether it truly is a good fit for you. Do you all align? Because if you do, then you're going to be fantastic referral partners and you're going to have fantastic reviews from one another. And they are going to be a walking, talking billboard for you. I have gotten referrals from somebody that knows me in an office. So the person that gave me the referral didn't know me from Adam or Eve, but they said, hey, if Mike knows you and Mike likes you, then I like you too. Let's go. Mike's just like me. He works the same way like me. So I know that if you're in his bank, that I can trust you. Pretty cool, if you ask me. These are like the key relationships. And I'm not saying don't work on your sphere of influence. It's all important. I'm just saying, what are you prioritizing? And in the military world, who has the control? Who has the opportunity to make that introduction, to put the puzzle pieces together? So we need to really hone in on that. And there's a lot more to it. You've got the wide net perspective, even within the military niche, and then we can get smaller and smaller. And I'm going to tell you how I've done that, or what you can do for your installation to find out what you need to be doing to get tighter and tighter. Because then you're really honing in on like the top 5 to 10 bases that people may be moving from, or that they trade back and forth. And that's pretty cool because you guys might have a really consistent flow of incoming and outgoing traffic there. Anyhow, I'm here to say that if you want to get into the military niche, there are plenty of military clients and customers alike, and the pond is big. Come on in. But I want to help you and make sure that you have a great foundation. I don't want you to be discouraged. I want you to feel like you can succeed in this world, because you absolutely can. And we are going to do it together. So I can't wait to see you over on the Elevate Freedom training platform. I'll still be cross-posting and sharing everything on closing chapters, because I live, breathe the military. Like, it just is my life. So there's a lot of crossover, and it'll be shared amongst each platform. But when it comes to more specific information or workshops or webinars, things of that nature, that will definitely be on the Elevate Freedom Training website. Head on over there and subscribe anywhere you can, and keep up with both closing chapters and Elevate Freedom Training. And we are going to just absolutely love on you in this military world.